Hi, this is Laura Bomey, and I'll be your instructor for our LXD Advanced Tools and E-Learning Trends course. We will start on Monday, and this course will go for 6 weeks. When you first log into Canvas, you will see that each week we will have items for the 6 weeks, and you will see over to the right the activities that are coming up. The first one is just a getting to know you discussion board, and each week you'll have an announcement that will come out on Mondays, and then you will have a module area. If you click on this, you're going to see the course overview, the facilitator information, so this is how you can get a hold of me, and then the syllabus, and then an overview of the learning activities. So please check that out. And then each week you will have a full set of activities, learning resources, and areas where you can interact with other members of the course. And in this first week, remember there's the getting to know you discussion. Please do that. Check out the readings and resources. And then the activities that you will be doing are first and foremost how to set up a website shell, because this class, the essential capstone of the course is that you will set up a website shell, and each time we are practicing some of these advanced tools, you will go do that in your website shell, and you will use that as an online digital portfolio of your work. And then to get us kicked off on that, you'll also, the other part of this is you're going to use the learning experience design tools and processes to develop a design problem that you will use for the remainder of the course. So this first week, you'll set up a website shell and identify a learning design problem, and you'll get more information on that. For those of you who've been in prior courses, you will have, you may already have a problem you've worked on in some of the other classes. You're welcome to use that for this one, but this is just building on some of the prior course information and taking the information you've learned about learning experience design, user experience, and user interface design, and putting it into an online digital portfolio. And so each week you'll have these individual assignments, a small group activity, and then a whole class discussion. I'd like to go ahead and switch now to a brief PowerPoint of what we'll be covering this week. So again, week 1, problem framing and web tools. And I wanted to give you some context around the prior courses that if you're in the certificate program, that you would have taken. And for those that may or only be taking this class, you want to make sure you check out the resources for this week, because we don't go a deep dive on some of these LXD principles in this course. This is a lot of application of the prior principles you have learned. So you have the concept of learning experience design that you have learned, which combines design thinking, instructional design, learning sciences, and designerly ways of knowing. And then you also combine user experience and user interface design, which are the principles of user interface design, the principles of user experience design, and user experience design in practice, which is this user experience, user interface for experience design, which is a lot of words to essentially say you are taking problems that you can turn into learning experiences, and you find creative solutions using the various principles of LXD. And in this class, what you're going to be doing, as I already mentioned a little bit, is you're going to be taking all of the work that you have and principles you've learned before, and you're going to be taking that to a new level by embedding things in an online portfolio, practicing some of the things that you've designed in prior classes, like prototypes and so on. So you may be familiar in the prior courses of creating a low prototype, which might have been just a on paper prototype of your design problem or wicked problem. And then this is going to be what's called a high fidelity prototype at the end of this class, which essentially means you're putting the design elements behind it in an online format so people can access it. That's probably the simplest way of saying that, but trying to help you understand how all of these things fit together, because there's a lot of concepts and terminology. And so we'll be reviewing this throughout the entire 6 weeks. Now, the design thinking process that we are going to be doing, again, you may have learned this in the prior courses, but this is related to design thinking for engaged learning. And we're phase 1, stage 1, and stage 2. And so in this first week, we're going to be defining a learning experience design problem that you will use for the entirety of the course. And then we'll be applying your perspective to that in order to start developing your online portfolio. And as I mentioned, you may already have a design problem from a prior course, so you may in fact use that if you choose. And then as you start thinking about the design problem, you want to maybe revisit some of these resources that are provided in the learning and resources in Canvas, or also just the process itself. But in order to design a good problem for this class, you want to make sure you think of something that doesn't have an obvious solution. It can be iterative in nature so that you can use the principles. And a lot of it is related to understanding the users that you are trying to help solve the problem for. And so there's this empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. That's kind of exactly what we're going to be going through in concert with the design thinking process that I mentioned here. So a lot of those same steps, the design phase, the define phase, are all in this early part, and then you go into the ideation and testing. So all of these kind of overlap. They're just, as I mentioned, there's some of the learning experience design principles that are related to user interface design, designerly ways of knowing, design thinking. So it's a lot of information, but just try and hang with me and you'll get through it in the course and hopefully have a lot of good resources when you get done. So you'll be defining a problem statement. And then part of that is, again, this is from some prior stuff you may have learned in the course, that is how might we questions. So as you're thinking of your design problem, think about how might we do something or solve something or address something. And think of it from a learning experience perspective, because that's what you're going to do. You're going to be developing something where people can learn from the experience. And so a good example is here, teenage girls need to eat nutritious food in order to thrive and grow. So how might we question might be, how might we make healthy eating appealing to young females? How might we inspire teenage girls toward healthier eating options? Okay, and in summary, here's what is going to happen this first week. You're going to get familiar with the course by reviewing the various LXD resources. You're going to create a design problem and an online website. You're going to share it with your peers, and then you're going to reflect on the LXD and online portfolios. And then when you as the one thing I did want to point out is in the website shelf, you go in here, that assignment, it walks you through what an online digital portfolio is, and it recommends the Wix site as a good one because it's pretty straightforward and it's free. And then there's a video here that walks you through how to set it up and get a few bare bones things in there. And then there's also a narrative here that walks you through it as well. And then you can do an example embedding of an artifact, a YouTube video, just to practice. So there are just a number of things in this first week. Try not to get overwhelmed. It's just, I know it is a lot of information. Hopefully if you've been going through the prior courses, the terminology and things will come together for you fairly quickly. And then I look forward to working with you. If you do get stuck anywhere, try to go back and look at the LXD program definitions and resource library information that will help ground you in the principles that we'll continue to learn and reinforce. And thank you for your time.